another episode of Lee Street Beat. I'm Sandra Tucker along with T the Man, and we're back for another episode. This has been a jam-packed week with a lot of different stories, and we're going to try to discuss them as good as we can. T the Man, we had a week of mourning beginning this week with the funeral of George H.W. Bush. Did you check out some of the memorials, and how did you think that it compared to what we're going to see when Donald Trump died?
I don't know if I'm gonna watch his memorial because, well, maybe I will. I want to see what good they say about Donald Trump. It was a very dignified memorial service. It was that you saw a lot of people come together that normally doesn't come together because of the political discourse, and they were chatting. We saw people like Colin Powell come. Jim Baker, the Bush family themselves. Even though I don't agree with none of the Bush's political policy, I will say this about H.W. Bush. I could tolerate him. After coming through with Reagan, I could tolerate him. It was like 4 years of relief because I thought Reagan was way extreme. Lord, did I know it was going to get worse in the future. But I could tolerate him. I thought he was a decent man. I thought he tried to do, for the time that he lived in, try to do some decent things. I'm not real happy about his stance on crime, the Willie Horton ads that he did to win the election. But
his views on AIDS at the time.
Yeah, AIDS at the time. While he criticized homosexuality and AIDS, but he gave funding to fight AIDS. He did. He was a little complicated in that sense, But overall,
he was a hero, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, you know what? You have to give him a pass. Looking back now in history, looking back at him, you have to give him somewhat of a pass and say, well, he tried not to do no harm for the most part. Of course, there's people going to disagree with that. But when looking at it in today's terms, he did very little harm. And he didn't advance a lot of things, but he didn't harm us as much as he could have done. So, and then we all saw the shadow.
He called Ronald Reagan's economic policies voodoo economics, which was that trickle-down policy, which is the same thing that Donald Trump has adopted now. So,
yeah, we know. And the fact was, when he did go there, and they had a deficit because they was, worried about the deficit and passing on this deficit to our children and grandchildren. Then he wouldn't raise taxes, and that was against the Holy Grail. But I just want to ask you, since we're talking about deficits and it's $21 trillion or whatever it is, how do they expect these people to pay it? Because I'm going to tell you right now, nobody in my family lineages is going to pay for any debt of the United States government. Now, if you think you're going to tax them, you got to give them a job. In fact, you got to give them a good paying job, or otherwise they're going to be on these social programs. Now, I know these Republicans all want to talk about, well, we want to cut Social Security, Medicare, and any other aid. Then you're going to have a bunch
of entitlement programs.
They earn benefits. Hell, somebody paid for them. You know what? I think we need to change the narrative to call them what they are. They earn benefits. Listen, if that's the case, then the people in Congress shouldn't get paid. If you want to cut somebody's Social Security, like Congress would be a volunteer job. Don't pay them $180,000 a year to sit there to raise more money so when they leave, they'll have millions of dollars. Don't pay them nothing. That's the way I see it. But listen, I'm not worried about the deficit in the future because you know what? Not going to pay it. We're gonna do like what every other good business does. We're going to file bankruptcy. So how is it that we owe China in this trade deficit war that we owe some money? Everything I bought from the Chinese is paid for, so I don't know who's buying it. So if that's the case, you better tell the United States government to quit buying all those cheap plastic sheets and all the other stuff they get from China. And don't get it on credit. Tell the Chinese people, you know what? COD, carry as you on delivery.
They still have COD? I mean, we got Amazon Prime. We ain't got no COD.
But you got to pay ahead. But, UPS might still do COD, So That's the way I look at it.
Nobody's ever home in my house, so you got to sign. You got to be there to sign for COD.
Right. You know, go ahead and sue them in the world court to see if you can collect from them, because obviously it don't work too well, because that's about we filed bankruptcy, and I'm quite sure that the Chinese owe somebody, and you know what? Trying to collect from somebody in China, listen, it's like trying to put an elephant through the eye of a needle. That ain't going to happen.
And talking about the deficit, Donald Trump made a statement this week saying that it seems like we're going to be going into a recession even faster because of his tariffs, and that he really doesn't care because he won't be in office when the country goes into recession. But they say that, it's been accelerated, and if he's running for 2020, that he might be running in a country that's now in a recession because of his tariffs. I mean, for him to say something like that is so Donald Trump. He doesn't care. He won't be in office. He doesn't care that he's putting us in a recession. He doesn't seem to understand the idea of how tariffs work. When he imposes tariffs, Americans pay the tariffs. So, I just think that, eventually when the Democrats get in, that, we need to change that tax base.
Here's the thing. Nobody likes taxes. The rich don't like it. The poor sure don't like it. Donald Trump is right. He won't be in office when it happens. He either be dead or out of office. Hopefully he'll be in jail. I hope he's alive and in jail. And if he's alive and in jail, he don't have to worry about it. So, that's.
He'll want prison reform then.
Huh?
They slow walking that prison reform. Apparently, your boy in Kentucky doesn't like it, even though he knows it'll pass, because he's like Jeff Sessions. He's
Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell, lock him up, throw away the key kind of guy.
See, you know what? Mitch McConnell reminds me of an old bloodhound. They look all sleepy-eyed. They look lazy, but they some vicious-ass dogs. Yeah. Mitch McConnell is a vicious dog.
Yeah.
Don't you underestimate him. And all fairness to Mitch McConnell, when Mitch McConnell gets power, he know how to use it. He ain't sitting around trying to figure out if I'm going to debate and how I'm going to use it. He's going to use that power, and he's going to wield it, and he's going to do it till he got no more power in his power stick. That's how Mitch McConnell's going to go. So, and speaking of power and powerful people, special counsel in a Southern District of New York office, they came down hard.
Yeah, they got 3 briefs. Friday, December 7th, the federal prosecutors filed 3 briefs which address crimes concerning Paul Manafort, Trump's fixer Michael Cohen, and Donald Trump himself, aka Individual One.
Yeah, and Michael Flynn, he comes out smelling like a rose. And I want to say the reason why Michael Flynn probably is coming out like a rose. Michael Flynn did service to this country for 34, 35 years. He was a lieutenant general, 3-star general. He ran the show in Afghanistan. And basically, a lot of people say he was a better general than Petraeus. So in service to his country, which he's done all his life, he's done good. So they're going to give him, I don't know, some forgiveness on it. But what happened was he got around Trump. He got around other people, and he maybe always harbored these feelings, but they corrupted him, and he let his greed get to him. But when Mueller got to him, he sung like a bird. And people say, I wonder why Flynn sung like that. Flynn has an army.
He's covering his son's butt.
He's covering his son's butt, and he's covering that army pension.
Okay.
So that's it. He ain't trying to mess up his good thing. He said, hey, as long as I keep my pension, I say what I want to say. And you know what? And they like what they want to say. And he was a national security advisor. So he knew about them Russians. And so, he probably told them a whole lot. So when, what's his name? Cohen comes to talk and Manafort comes to talk, they thought they was giving him some bull crap. Flynn sung, hey, you know what? Flynn is a canary.
In the first brief, Robert Mueller alleges that Paul Manafort breached his cooperative agreement with the government by lying to the FBI and the special counsel's office. In a span of 12 meetings, he lied about talking to the Russia's intelligence agent, Klimnek, Konstantin Klimnek. He lied about payments that he received and about another district in the Southern District of New York. He lied about contacts with the Trump administration before his guilty plea. And Mueller's got text messages, he's got documents, he's got witnesses proving that there was contact with Trump's lawyers. So that first brief with Paul Manafort, basically, I don't know why, just lying, giving up. You know, he should have been Michael Flynn. The one thing they said about Michael Flynn is he told everything, he told it fast, and he told it true right from the beginning. Had he done that, he might not have been looking, he might have been looking like Michael Flynn, instead of him trying to, I guess, think that Donald Trump was going to give him some kind of pardon, because he can't pardon him from these state charges. But if he had cooperated and did the right thing, you know, looking at Michael Flynn, I think he looks stupid right now.
Well, not only that, he got a forfeiture thing in there, them houses. Part of the agreement was they get to keep certain houses, they keep a certain amount of money. All that's off the table.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, because
I
think they let him keep
his
2 or 3
wife
houses.
down at the Salvation Army in this homeless shelter looking for a Christmas gift, all because her husband couldn't tell the truth. That's what's going on there.
Yeah, they say the truth just ain't in him. That even his lawyers couldn't tell Mueller that he wasn't lying, because the lawyers had to show him, say, look, this is the story you told 2 weeks ago. So now you tell another story. I mean, when Mueller came up with it, his lawyers, they couldn't even deny that their client is a liar. That's just how bad that is.
Yeah, well, this is what we call in the world a piss poor liar.
Yes.
Just lie. I guess he's using the Trump method. If you lie long enough, you'll get some fool to believe you.
Yeah, well, you know what? He's not dealing with no fools with the special counsel, and he's not dealing with any fools in New York.
And then, of course, I thought it was cruel the way Bob Mueller did it. He has Flynn with his sentencing, and he says, I'm not giving no jail time. We're not recommending no jail time. And if he does, it's only from 0 to 6 months. So, you know, Flynn was invaluable. They write this glowing letter of Michael Flynn. He admitted his mistakes. So Michael Cohen thinking that, hey, you know, I talked a little bit too. So let's see what I get. And there was 2 sentencing things. There was the one by Mueller, and there was one by the Second District of New York, Southern District of New York.
That was brief number 2, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. They asked the federal judge to sentence Michael Cohen to a substantial term of imprisonment, somewhere between 2 and 4 years. Cohen's lawyers filed a brief asking, because of his cooperation with the Southern District of New York, for him to get little or no time. But they really didn't take into account, and they kind of downplayed his actual crimes. So he didn't, you know, cooperate completely. He declined to engage in full debriefings about everything that he knew. He only talked about matters that he had already admitted to in his plea. And the New York prosecutors blasted Cohen's downplaying of the offenses and the seriousness of his crime. They accused him of a pattern of deception and that permeated his professional life, him being a lawyer. So that's the second briefing. They was not feeling him, trying to paint himself with rose-colored glasses. He didn't cooperate with them as well as he did with Mueller in the third briefing.
Here's the deal. He couldn't cooperate with him in the second brief of the Southern District of New York, because he's committed crimes greater than what he's being charged for right now. What if Michael Cohen has ordered a hit or a killing of somebody? He's not going to admit to all the crimes he's done in the past. Or what if that crime that he's done implicates somebody of his family member, his dad or his wife?
Yeah, because some of that stuff was involving his wife. You know, some of those. Some of those.
He's not going to do that. He's not going to sell out his whole family. You know what? He thinks he's the mobster. He thinks he's one of the good fellows. So he's going to just go ahead and do his 4 years, and that's it. Hope that somebody has leniency and mercy. But that's just Trump ain't pardoned him because Trump don't call him a rat. So Trump is hoping that he die in prison. I mean, that's the way Trump.
Yeah, but he won't call Mike Flynn a rat, though. You know, it's interesting, and I think that at the end of the day, you're going to find out that Trump has been hurt more by Flynn than Cohen.
Well, there's more to come. This is just the beginning. This is the prelogue of what's going to come. Listen, I'm saying after Mike Flynn ran up there, and when he heard that from those prosecutors, I know it took the wind out of his sails, because he thought he was going to have him a cold beer this weekend, kind of celebrate, kick back, wait till Thursday for his sentencing. No. Mm-mm. And what's the coffee boy name? Papadopoulos. He got out yesterday. He got out yesterday.
He did 12 out of 14 days.
Yeah, he was driving up on 41 down from Wisconsin and stopped at Culver's and got him a cheddar burger.
Oh, okay. He might be out for he may be home for Christmas.
Yeah, he's home for Christmas with his Italian Russian speaking wife. That's what all I got to say about that.
I can't figure her out at all.
Oh, man,
one of the things that we were talking about with Michael Cohen, getting back to him, is he cheated on his taxes. He refused to pay for accounting work that highlighted inconvenient issues that he wanted to suppress. And that the campaign and finance violations that he did, paying off Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal in order to influence the 2016 election, he did so in coordination with individual one, Donald Trump. So he was real reluctant to talk about some of those issues, but these things that Donald Trump is saying that, thank you, I'm okay, nothing, no colluding, that's his problem. That's why he's individual number one, because of those payments and the fact that Michael Cohen admitted to those allegations, and this is election fraud.
Well, individual number one is never going to admit to anything, and he's never going to apologize to anything.
If he wasn't president right now, he would be indicted and he would be in trouble right now. The only thing that's keeping Donald Trump where he from being indicted is the fact that he's the president, and he ain't gonna win in 2020. I wouldn't even doubt if he doesn't even finish his presidency.
Well,
but if he does, he's not gonna win.
Better hope he wins in 2020, because this is the only thing keeping him out of jail.
Yeah, well,
But you know what? I'm gonna tell you. You know what? He's gonna have a Sophie's choice. He's gonna, but you know what? He'll throw his kids under the bus because.
Oh, he's already thrown his kids under the bus.
Right, yeah, but they're going to go even more, because they're going not only under the bus, they're going to be in the jail cell. Don Jr., Ivanka, Slow Eric, all of them. Paul Barron and Tiffany, thank God they ain't living in the White House with them or near them.
Man, Tiffany sitting back like, I don't even know y'all. She probably she maybe come over for Thanksgiving dinner, but she get her plate to go. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not trying to be indicted with y'all. Hey, don't tell me nothing. I don't want to hear nothing. She don't want to have to get lawyered up. She's like, I'm going back to school. I ain't got time for this.
Right. And favorite son-in-law, Jared, Jared should be used about how things go in prison. His daddy went to jail. So, they got a line of criminal blood. So they're used to it, just do your 3-4 years, come on out, go back to where you left off of. This time don't get caught, have your game tighter. That's all.
Well, you know what? Jared was instrumental in the prison reform work that Mitch McConnell is holding back and doesn't want to bring the vote, because his dad was in the system, but he was a big part of that, Yeah, Jared, one thing that you do that's kind of correct, Mitch McConnell's not going to let go through, So brief number 3 continues talking about Michael Cohen, but it's the cooperation that he gave with Bob Mueller. And in the sentencing, they really recommend no sentence. They tell the court that Cohen was helpful to his office, and that he took significant steps to mitigate his criminal conduct by pleading guilty and that he lied to Congress. So it's almost like the New York people are playing bad cop and Mueller's playing good cop.
Mueller just asking him about all of his conduct dealing with Donald Trump.
Yeah, and he's singing like a bird on that.
He's willing to talk about that. Whereas the New York is asking him about not only his conduct with Donald Trump, but any other past conduct.
His taxes.
And he's not confessing without no immunity. He ain't telling about all the crimes he done.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so you know, hey, maybe he'll have an epiphany after he looking at this time over the weekend and come back begging, and they
We'll
might
see.
allow him some mercy. But you know what? He's a known liar, so you can't trust nothing he says. And Paul Manafort, they just redacted his stuff. They just
Oh God! But you
that,
know the stuff that's redacted in there, a lot of people feel it has to do with Donald Trump's children. You know, there's a lot that's been redacted, but I feel like Donald Trump should be very, very suspect that the information that's redacted is not good. And
you know
speaking
what?
of,
Not only Donald Trump's children, Don Jr., Ivanka, Jared, I also believe Mike Pence is in there too.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
You know?
because you know what, it deals with a lot of what happened with his communications with the transition team, and we know that Mike Pence was in charge of the transition team. So if Michael Cohen was doing something with the Russians on behalf of Donald Trump and communicating that with the transition team, Mike Pence was over the transition team. Bam! Hope they got his ass.
Yeah, I hope so too. Let's hope so. Well, let's move on to some more happier news that we can talk about. Um, you know, instead of these criminals, you know.
Oh, they are criminals.
Yeah.
God bless them. God
Well, two things was, I don't know if I would call this happy. You know, Kevin Hart was asked to do the honors at the Oscars, right? Host the Oscars, but he bowed out because of his comments, homophobic comments that he's tweeted and
in the
text to other
past.
people, and it's came back to haunt him. So he bowed out. Some folks felt that might have been a teaching moment for him. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Okay, well, you know, I am gay. I do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I'm surprised. When did this occur?
Yeah, you know.
Tell me more, please tell. Go ahead.
Well, let's keep on Kevin Hart's butt, not dragging me into it. You know what? Kevin Hart said some things in the past, kind of like you know, when I think about, you know, A.M. Joy, you know, she said some things in the past, tweeted some things, and this was an opportunity because, you know, gay people came out and they spoke about these things. This was an opportunity for him to have, you know, more contrition, so to speak. You know, to not just say that he's evolved, but, you know, just really show that, you know, he was sorry for what he said. And you know what? He bucked. He's like, look, I told you I said I'm sorry already. So, you know, like if y'all ain't accepting that, then, you know, I ain't got to take this gig pretty much. So, you know, I mean, as a gay person, I kind of see it both ways. I kind of enjoyed watching Snoop Dogg smoke a blunt and talk about how, you know, he ain't really got to worry about it. You know, it's not a big thing. But you know what? People do change. But, you know, in the kind of lifestyle that he's in, where everything is under a microscope, sometimes you do have to go a little bit further and have an act of contrition. You know, I mean, he's been on a high. Him and Tiffany Haddish have been doing movies. He's been doing a lot of things. But, you know, sometimes those things can dry up, you know. I think that when people are honorary about, you know, their past and, you know, kind of say, well, you know, I said I'm sorry, you know, I think people don't believe them. I think people don't feel like what they say is true. I believe that the gay community looks at him and doesn't think that his so-called, you know, apology is sincere.
Yeah, okay. I agree with it. You know, as a street man, you know, I hear it and I understand what he's saying. I don't feel that he's homophobic. There's, you know, and it's the term that he used to describe, you know, he didn't want his son to be gay. You know, was a
Yeah, he said something to the effect that he would kill his son if he found out he was gay or something like that. You know, and
well, you know what? A lot of men feel that way about their son.
They may feel that way, but you know what? The
And,
highest rate of suicide is young people who have been turned away from their parents by being gay. And so it's a real serious issue.
Oh, I know it's a serious issue. I know it's a serious issue. But, you know, listen, in the Black community, you know, we look at that, you know, I'm going to just say women are more accepting of their sons being gay than men are accepting of their sons being gay. They, you know, they already have a hard time with their daughter, you know, And the answer is, well, maybe one day she'll find a man and get married. But when their son is gay, it's like, damn, boy, what happened? What did I do wrong? Because the father ain't gay. I get it. I understand. It's not that you don't love them. You just don't want them that way.
Well, you say it's not that you don't love them, but the thing about it is that it's one thing to feel that way. It's another thing to publicly say that.
I know.
If we were talking like 25, 30 years ago, this is different. He came out and publicly said that.
But you know what?
So that's the big difference. And he is in a business where he's in the public.
Yeah, right.
You private tell your son, I'm going to kill you, if you gay. I mean, it's going to mess your son up. It's the wrong thing to say. But when you say it publicly, I mean, it's humiliating to your child as well. Because
I'll say this. He's a comedian. So he's going to say it whether it's heartfelt or not, because that's the way he is. He's going to say it. So, everybody got their own way of parenting and what they children want to be. Some children have been a disappointment to their parents, and some kids has exceeded their parents' expectation. I'm going to say I exceeded my parents' expectation.
Yeah, you alive. You alive.
I could have went wrong so many ways and so many times,
I don't know if I exceeded my parents' expectations.
Oh, I think you did. Sandra. You did. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You did. I know your parents. I know when you saw your mother, she's happy. She talk about her daughter. And so yeah, you exceeded too. Me and you exceeded, and our siblings. I don't know that the
they were the golden children, but they
right,
honest now.
So that's but I don't know. Kevin Hart is gonna have to explain that to his son too, what he meant by that.
Yeah.
And so he got two sons, to be honest with you. So
yeah.
There's
I think though that sometimes things can be done in bad taste. I think that when I saw Kathy Griffin on TV the other night, and she did a comedy routine that has really haunted her, and she still can't get any gigs here in the United States. So you have to be really careful when you're talking about your children, especially. I mean, everybody kind of wants to give a pass to him because he's a comedian, but he's talking about his kids,
Yeah.
And he may be, he doesn't understand, and maybe his kids may end up having friends who are gay. And
right.
if they know that he said this in the past, I mean, because as a gay person, I feel some kind of way, when even though, Joy comes out, from MSNBC and says, well, these are things that I said in the past. And, and then, later on she says, well, maybe I didn't say that, maybe I was hacked. I still feel some kind of way about how she handled that. And
right.
she's not a comedian, Right. So I think that we're more inclined to give a comedian a pass. But I'm just saying, it just seems like he's not going to be hosting the Oscars. Hey, bring back Chris Rock, whoever you want to bring back.
Well, I think they should bring somebody edgy. Like maybe they bring back
Dave Chappelle.
You know what? Dave Chappelle. Bring Dave Chappelle.
It's fine with me. I don't care who they bring.
Bring Monique. She wants an audience.
I don't mind Kevin Hart not hosting the show. He's got plenty going on. I hope that it doesn't. I hope it doesn't disrupt his career, so to speak. I hope that people are forgiving to him. But at the same time, I think that people, want to look at you and think that you're sincere when you apologize. Well, 'tis the season, T. It's the holiday season, and folk with money is helping people for the Christmas season. And I just want to say, man, big ups to Oprah and big ups to Tyler Perry.
Yeah,
we got shopped at Walmart that hard.
Oprah went to Walmart. The article I read, it didn't give a whole lot of detail, but she went to Walmart and she paid off everyone's that was on layaway there. And they said she did like maybe $200,000. Oprah, you're a billionaire, $200,000. You know what? And you probably wrote that off on your taxes, giving to charity. You could have did a little bit more. Maybe you could have went down to Target and moved away some of them folks on their layaway plan. My wife got stuff down there on Target. She would love for you to help her out. But Tyler Perry went in there. He dropped some cash.
Yeah, well, he had to go to 2 stores. So if you got layaway at 844 Cleveland Avenue in East Point, Georgia, or at the 7001 Concourse Parkway store in Douglasville, Georgia, he's already paid your layaway. You know, I guess Oprah got to go to another store. It's still early enough for her to do good things. You know, I mean, I don't think they got layaway at where I shop at. I don't think Macy's and Old Navy have layaway.
No. But you know, Burlington has layaway.
Yeah, well, you know.
Go ahead, go to Burlington. And I'm quite sure some of them jewelry stores got layaway too. Because somebody want to get a ring, ain't got no.
Now the jewelry store, that might be it. But yeah,
you go there, do that layaway. Because if I know you doing there, I'm gonna go ahead and get that big old
ring that you wasn't gonna pay.
$30,000 rock that you know that I only have to pay 2 cents to get out. You know.
Okay.
I'm only gonna put down $10. You know, because
okay, I'm just gonna wait.
Because I know I'm gonna lose that money because I ain't never gonna buy no rock that big. Because I ain't
just gonna wait.
Yep.
Say, is Oprah coming? Well, you know, T.I. every year he goes into the stores. Usually, I guess it's a Walmart, and he'll sit there and he'll pay for people's purchases and everything. He'll tell the people, go on back, get what you want, do what you like. And I just think that it's a great time of the year, and for those that have been given a lot for them to give back, it's always heartwarming. And it's always heartwarming for us here at Lee Street Beat to have a good story to end the show with,
And I just want to tell you all your folks out there, as soon as Lee Street Beat, we get Judge Judy money for syndication, we'll be paying off some of your layaway too.
That's right.
So
that's right.
We'll do a Christmas show next week. Hopefully we'll have S. Hacker here. She's out there, and I don't know, maybe she can get her stuff out of layaway today. I don't know what she's doing, but. But
it's bad weather here in Georgia, and it's bad weather.
We'll do a Christmas show, and we'll be off a couple of weeks, and then we'll start the new year fresh, and we have some new ideas coming up, and hopefully we'll have some guests onto the show, people we want to bring on and talk about certain issues that I think that are pertinent that people would like to hear. Yeah. So until next week, this is T the Man and Sandra Tucker, and also for S. Hacker, we'll see you next week on Lee Street Beat. Bye-bye.